Well, good morning. It's Friday, sometime in December, I don't know, maybe the 10th or 12th or something like that. Time doesn't matter anymore when you're out here, sort of cruising on a time. Anyway, I'm here on Fantome Island. Malachi's in the background. In a couple of hours I'll be on Palm Island. But I'm going to go and look at what used to be a leper, where they had like leprosy back in the old days, in the 1900s, 1920s onwards. It's part of the removal of the steamship Coonawarra, which I'll be filming later on. But one thing I've got to do is conserve film, and things like this. That's a bed where it once had a sick person in it. Maybe lots of people died in that bed. But I'm going up to where the nuns set up a big monastery part here. And as you can see, there's a oil palm with some white cockatoos flying everywhere. So part of the oil palm is Palm on Palm Sunday, where they laid all the leaves, the palms out for Jesus when he came and walked into, I think it was Jerusalem. Anyway, getting on with it. Lots of house pads here. Over there, house pads. It sort of went on as time went past. It would have been hard back in the 1920s until they got things like this. Big fridges, kero fridges, generator bases. Walking on a house site right now that was once here. It's all been wiped out and by cyclones and burning. But all over there, there's a whole stack of house pads as time went on. But it's up here that's really interesting, where I'm pretty sure this is a place. I came here with Eva Gaia, a Aboriginal lady who brought me to this place and told me lots about it, but she's now passed on. Beautiful Christian woman in the Lord. She's at rest at the moment. Maybe she's watching me walking this again. But I'm walking up this pathway, look at it, going right down. All this made up as a walkway. What to, I don't know. Where to? Just goes over the island and down. It would have been pretty busy in its days with lots of nuns, but I'll just go over here. Cockies are getting pretty wild. This is interesting. Monument, part of the church. In memory of the patient sisters of Our Lady Help of Christians, Franciscan Missionaries of Mary and Saint, and staff who lived and worked on Fantome Island, and in respect for those who died here from 1939 to 1973, erected on the original site of the Mary, I don't know how to, Immaculate Church on Monday. Anyway, a lot of nuns would have come to this spot. Some sort of monument that they had back then. Old posts. There's probably a big church base here. Turkeys have been scratching. More pads. And over here, there's lots of rubbish everywhere, but it's all a timeline. Very interesting timeline. So I'm going to go for this walk, have a look. And what they did, they had lots of baths where they put the lepers in, washed them and cleaned them of the leprosy and diseases that they had. All these things were brought in on the Coonawarra in its past. Removal of Aboriginals from way up to Cape Melville. Last painting of it is painted next to the man of the wall, which means this ship removed these people. That's the flagpole. There's the view back. But I'm going to go over here, this way. There was lots of gardens and shells, as you can see, collected. I'm not too sure if there's people under there. But what a great place. There's just stuff everywhere here on the ground. Here's some of the baths. Lots of baths. And they cleaned and scrubbed them and tended their wounds, prayed over them, gave them the Lord as a part of their mission. But there was once people in there trying to survive and live. But this is where they came to, this place, Fantome Island. And here's where they died. Some of them got healed, but I just know that I walked over this last night and I had so much peace, even though there's death here. But there was so much peace because I just know that I feel that they're all saved. Here's some of the big cookers. Interesting stuff. Can you imagine the bread and the food cooked in here? This would have been going 24 hours a day. Just cooking away, making food on hot plates, keeping the place warm in the winter. Here's an old kerosene fridge. Back in its time. Some sort of block, sink blocks, toilet blocks, washing blocks. The only really surviving structure is this place here, made out of concrete. Don't know if a person really was here in 58 or if that's how old the guy was who wrote it. But not too sure what this is kept for. Some maybe where they put things in that were valuable, or put someone in here who was bad. Don't know. It's not for me to say such a thing. So we've got the water drains here. As you can see, the water travelled underneath, diverted wherever they wanted it to from the systems that would go out. More baths, staircase to a house, and that's what's left of the house. Lots of asbestos here. But if everything goes well when I get to Palm Island, I'll be able to get the photos, the old photos of this place, the only record of it that not many people know of, and I'll be able to film the timeline by faith. Hopefully Pina Guy will lend me those pictures so I can come back here and just show what used to be here. The rock walls erected all along, going to a massive monument. Anyway, sorry about the handling of the camera, but I can imagine the nuns all in white walking along here on this path. And this pathway is going to get around these branches. These are all chewed by goats that are on the island. There's goats here. They come and go, eat all the leaves or what they can. We're looking at the size of these boulders here. Look at this, erected by people working. to make this happen. This is some sort of big monument, incredible monument. It's about 18 foot high by the look of it, with a big base on it. And here's what Australia looked like to them, marked out in seashells. It's very, very interesting how it looks. So I'm not too sure if this was the old church, and this is where people came and received communion, and back there was some sort of, maybe this is where they committed the people after they died. It's just a small walkway in, but it's this monument, just climbing up these rocks here. How this once looked I don't know, but maybe a photo might show it. There's a very interesting thing. It's obviously some sort of, looking at the timeline of the shells, it was made the same time as this here. A wash basin of some type of cleanse the hands. This big monument here. Who knows, there could have been a statue or an image of Mary or Jesus, but there could have been a big cross up there. Who knows, this is where they could have come and kneeled and repented before the Lord on this man-made structure. Who knows that there's probably lots of dead bones under this thing. Some sort of well that's here. No shortage of rocks. But look at some of these rocks. Like that rock there is a 3-4 man boulder. All of them are 2-man boulders. What you mean by 2-man is that it would take 2 men to actually move them. Some of them are, look at the size of some of these boulders over here. This walkway. It's over there to the right, it's a big quarry of rocks. So all this back in its day would have been very kept clean and tidy. These trees weren't even here. There's the timeline of them growing up through this place. A procession of people maybe burying the dead, I'm not too sure. But I'm just sort of, for walking over this as a timeline, all the boulders that were collected around the area from here and taken back that way to erect these rock walls. Great stuff. Over here looks like a burial. Someone could be underneath that. It's just a circle of stones here. Big trees growing out of it. And these type of aloe vera plants, I don't know what they call them, spiky anyway, growing out. I'll go down to the beach. As you can see, all the goats have chewed the ends off. Probably getting moisture to wet their tongues from the tree. But I'm not too sure if there's another place, because I remember steps going up to where once was a big monastery where all the nuns stood on it. It might be over there further. But I just wish I had more footage, more film. Surf's up. A couple of good breaks out there. Big pits. So, nuns and sick people, wrapped up in white sheets maybe, would have walked this just to get healing and work their bodies while they're getting repaired. It's just interesting, big. I don't think that's from here because it's floated over full of foam. Washed up, Flopson and Jetson. Big rock quarry of everything. So this is called Fantome Island. Very interesting place. Part of a goat body. I found this goat, or what was left of him, yesterday. I'll try and find the spot again. But who knows what's amongst all that stuff. As I said, I just haven't got enough film to film this whole event. Got to save it for the Coonawarra and part of my adventure going back to Hitchinbrook and Zoe Bay and back to Port Douglas. Nice piece of Oregon, washed up. It's a soup bowl with a fork in it. I think that someone ate out of that. And just great to see the fork still in it, some sort of maybe goat stew or something, but the goats would have been brought here back when they lived here to eat, whether they ate goats or something, I don't know. Mightn't have been in them. But these two nice pieces of wood pillars here, they're still standing. Would have been a gateway. You can see swinging gate hinges. Just how many people have walked through there? Out of one spot into the other, whatever was here. And down into the wash baths and the staircases. Asbestos all over the ground there. But I'm going to go up here first. Just trying to locate where these dead goat is. Some very old. You don't get to see something like that. The glass. That's for oranges. Vitamin C is what they would have pumped into them. And grapefruits and things like that. That's a brilliant style. Very important not to take anything from here because it belongs to the dead. And believe me, there's lots of death here. But just stuff like this, whatever this was, melted. It's got a wire through it. Would have been a big bowl of some sort. But the burial grounds, I'm not too sure where they are. If there was crosses on them, they would have been burnt in fire in time. But last time I was here, this was just all bush. And now it's just clean as. But I'm going to go up this hill. Get up the top here where people once lived. Here's a big tub. I'd say this was where that tub would have, in its time, held a lot of water and washed clothes. That's all I can think of it as. Something else there, don't know what that is. A big erected pole going up with wires on it. Might have been a radio transmitter aerial. Quite a lot of broken bottles. But the whole place is littered. Like if you were here with a metal detector, it would just be, you wouldn't be able to walk 4 foot without picking up something. An old telegraph pole for electricity. There's the big generators down there. Going to a pole, probably for HF radio communications. I'm just going up here, just looking at the bottles. It's quite an interesting one. All melted over time. But look at this bed. solid iron, put together at the time with mouldings, all cast before they were welded, so it was back before, about the time of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, pop rivets and mouldings like this. But looking at it, can you imagine how many men and women who stayed in this bed with the mozzie net set up over them, healing, where they found peace, tended by nuns that were in the Lord, that didn't get any disease, just serving, giving up their whole life just to serve, so they know what they get in eternity. This is just a blink of an eye for the time that you're here on earth compared to eternity. But people died in this bed, and people got healed in this bed and went on to live. And just to think that they probably sat here with the view out there. It's quite an interesting timeline. Just film a bit of this site. Same as this bed here. Perfect setup. It seems to be in its spot where it was, whether it was moved at all. Brickwork, baths. Over here, remnants of an old oil lamp. Solid bronze. Porcelain. Another wash basin for washing clothes. Lizard running around. Very old cooker, number 2. Probably number 2 that was ever made, or number 2 size cooker. With hot plates, and they put the fire in there. The grills, solid pieces of it everywhere. It's like Ned Kelly stuff here. Here's a brand name. C-R-O Cronin or Croman. It's like something Ned Kelly would wear. Grills. Just an incredible place of timeline. An old knob, latch. Down here, lots of stuff. Pretty well cleared all down there, but nothing down around there. Generator right over there, I'll go to there soon. A hut there. But incredible history. Hopefully I'll be able to get these photos. Look at this. That's an old drinking cup. In the past, aluminium. Someone would have drunk out of that. Lots of people would have served up to them by nuns to just drink, which they didn't have the strength. Look at the size of this tap compared to my hand. Maybe it's old, maybe it's not, but here's part of that oil lamp. The wick would have been inside that. Another piece of bronze. Obviously tin roof. Corrugation. All this tin stuff here is like collector's items now. People use it to decorate bars and stuff because you can't get it the way it's rusted. But I could spend days here just looking around, and who knows what's buried under the ground when it comes to some old bloke who wanted to hide something hoping that if he lived he'd dig it back up again, like a can that's underground of time. It's just, I just feel that there's lots of things like that here. And it'd be sad that people come and metal detect and start taking all these trinkets. But since this fire's come through, cleaned it all up, all the scrub's been knocked down, and the dryness of no rain for a year or two that's been here. Very dry island. Old hut. More beds here. Obviously a big generating base. You can see that they use coral underneath for fill. Bottle dump. Looks like there's quite a big party here, but that's as time has gone on that this happened, people. Another bed. Some sort of big diesel box, maybe, full of diesel. This is not that old, but it's old enough. Just the green paint, the artwork that's here. I love you. Fireplace, used the cooktop. I'd say this would have been erected back in the 50s. It's time. Really nice bowl. Enamel. But the hidden stuff that you sort of can't see, appreciate. These shells that have been placed upside down for walkways. On Palm Island they did the same thing, and they had to paint the rocks white. And they weren't allowed, the Aboriginals weren't allowed to even cast their eyes on a white person, and if they did, they got in trouble, and they had to spend their days looking down to the ground just to paint white rocks on Palm Island. I'll show you that when I get there, of how the white man treated the indigenous people that were stolen from up and down the coast and took away their land because of the amount of minerals and stuff, like cow pows full of oil and gas oil. And now today, where the man on the wall is, there's going to be a big oil terminal going in a national park, put together by corrupt people. Massive big generator, 2-cylinder job, as you can see here. Big crank case going into the generator. Could be a Dunlight. Once again, it would have been erected back in the 50s, this in time. It's not like it's 1800 stuff. What I call tractor technology. Big PTO with a flywheel, and that would have ran a lot of other things connected off this here. So it looks like that bit would connect into this bit, and how they started it I don't know, but look at the flywheel on that. Malachi 3's just down there. Good place for a golf course if you had plenty of water. Old pads. There's a big starter motor there. These buildings down here I find are more modern on their timeline. Fences. Old wooden fence. But at one stage a man put that in the ground. Still there today. Goes right along that fence. Through there, out there, probably to keep the goats out of the compound. But just the work, like this is like a big bulldozer ramp going right up. I'm going to go over there to that oil palm. Not too sure if that's a grave under there, why it's kept there. You because there's one just over there. There's a couple of them around I've seen. So look at this beautiful palm. Another big old bed. I'm going to go up there later, see what's up the top. There's old beds down here. Another little part of the hospital. Big pot for cooking. Kerosene stove. There's various amounts of houses erected right through here. I can't do them all, but it's the bones of the goat and a plate that I found yesterday with beautiful embroidery on it, if I can find that again. It's got some design on it that's just beautiful. I'm glad to see that no one stole it yet. Looks like another grave marked by shells. There could be a couple of people down there. There's an old bronze latch. Old piping. Here's what's left of the goat. Here's his legs. Here. More legs there. More legs. Goats. Hooves. I'd say, judging the place, is a bit of a kill site. There seems to be lots of hair everywhere on the ground. Goat bones, legs, young ones by the look of it. How they were killed. Look at all this hair here. Probably shot by a couple of locals from Palm. Stripped off of their legs and things and hair, and then taken the bodies over to eat instead of eating dugong or anything. Turtle. Definitely a kill site under the frangipani tree. But I'm going to go find this plate that I found yesterday. Look at this beautiful, absolutely beautiful piece of pottery. Just what it would have been, I'm not too sure. But isn't that beautiful? Etched on, engraved. Whether each one's done individually or it's some sort of transfer. There's the rim of a bowl. Well, that's what I was trying to find. Just asked the Lord for directions and it came back into my head. I walked right past it before. But I found that yesterday afternoon. I went to GoPro all this and I was up here and I ran out of film. So, anyway, I'm going to go up on top of that hill and just do the other side of that walkway. Well, it's quite a big deal for me. It's been 15 years since I was back at Palm Island, where I met Mr. Green, Mr. Bones and Huey. And from what I've heard, they're all married and they've got kids. And they were once little kids that were with me that walked everywhere while I was there. And I walked over a graveyard with Eva Geyer and found 77 people that were on the Coonawarra list of removals of human beings taken from all the country up north and put on Palm Island where they died. Getting back there, which is today, just waiting for the tide to come up so my boat's off the sand, and then come not in my own name but in the Lord's name. Just looking at the porcelain here, it's timeline crack, all been Da Vinci'd. You can't pay for something like that, cracked up. It's a bit of a brand. Lynn Flowerware. Anyway, great pieces. Trochus shell in there, or a turban shell. But as I said yesterday, I was walking over here and I was just listening to the Bible on tape, Hebrews and Acts and James, Timothy, and it was just great to do all that first before I came here. And when I walked around here, it was just so at peace. I'm at peace now, but it was an incredible feeling because you just knew the death that was here over the time. But I'm going to go past that point then and go up that where people would have walked. Nice big old beam. Don't know if that was the centre of a church or something. It's quite a big one in its time. Rock walls up here. And all through there scattered is lots of more house sites. This is interesting, whatever this was. Got lots of, it's just sort of like a concrete pillar made out of coral. Lots of Rio in it. There's obviously a cornerstone to something, or pillar. Something that was once in here that's all this overgrowth. Aha! I didn't see this yesterday. This is all fresh kills. Look at this. Goats. Wow, this is a real slaughter site. They just shot them. Death. I actually didn't see this yesterday. Look at their guts. Pulled out here. I don't know what they kept off them. Oh, look at that. That's what I mean, there's just so much death. I don't know why they had to add to more death in such a sacred site. But there's its guts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 goats were slaughtered here. And this guy, look at him. Still working, fresh, probably about a month old, maybe 2 months. Green ants have made a nest out of it. Hanging on the tree of death. Some sort of iron thing. I'll tell you a story. The beach I'm about to go to today is in front of Pina Guy's place. And the day that I turned up to stay in that house, directly in front of the house was a tree that was cut down at 6 o'clock in the morning. Because at 5:30 in the morning they found a kid he hung himself dead on that tree. Now that kid went through a whole lot of hell because what happened, he raped a 12-year-old girl. He was Aboriginal and so was she. And anyway, he raped her and the whole island went looking for him with machetes. So he's too scared because up in the mountain there's actually a Bigfoot and they don't go up there because they're scared of what's up there. And so he come down and he hung himself on the tree. Look at this big cooker here. All full of this white lime asbestos stuff for insulation. That would have made some bread. Old bowls. So anyway, he hung himself on a tree and when the locals found him, this is interesting. Sorry to get distracted, but look at all this glass here. Hey? I don't know what intense heat could melt something like that. So intense. There's not enough here to do it. So they must have put it in a furnace or something. Maybe they were glass blowers also. Anyway, he was hung on a tree and that's when he was found at 5:30 in the morning. They took him off and then they cut the tree down so no one could see the tree again. And that day, I turned up in that house directly opposite and every Aboriginal just watched me. They watched everything I did. When I went and dived the Coonawarra and stuff, and it's a steamship just off the beach there, the removal ship, and from there on it's like they couldn't touch me. I was different. I came not in my own name but in the name of the Lord. I got to talk in church, meet a lot of locals, and just had the best time of my life. But before I got there, they said, "Why do you want to go there?" When I caught the ferry from the white people, they said it's the most dangerous island in the world, the third most deadliest of murder, rape, incest, diseases. AIDS was running wild. I don't know what this place is. It could be a bit of a burial ground. I don't want to be walking over any graves, so it's time to move out of this spot. But I'm going to go up this hill and go right up the top. Interesting rock formations. This one all squared off. There's a bit of a base around there. This looks like it almost fell over. Fig tree growing out of the roots. It's almost like these rocks were on top of here. They've fallen over. There's a pathway all the way down going up to there, so I'm going to go see what's up there. Looks like an old metal telegraph pole, iron rail, train track. So something must have been up here. Interesting walk. Be interesting how many people have walked up here to this top. So this is the first time for me. Beautiful view. Look at the surf down there at the moment. It's pretty good. Might be able to spot some manta rays. But definitely a walkway. Oh, yes, here we go. Look at that. A steeple. Great. So many things that are here. Can't help that these rocks have been placed in a certain way. I know it sort of could be semi-natural. Oh, look at the goats. There we go. Gotta watch so I don't get rammed. Look, there's goats in there, in the steeple. Unreal. Look at that. Ooh, look at them go, look at them go. I love it, live footage. Love being in the elements like this. Look at them all. Radio shack. Gotta watch that I don't get rammed. Batteries. Old batteries here. Yeah. Some sort of Radio Shack house that's now a haven for goats. Batteries everywhere. Look at the size of this metal pole. That was in the ground. You could climb up it by looking at those ladders. Once again, something that would have been erected in the 50s. I still can't help but feel that. Oh, here we go. There's a nice part of a cup. I feel like there's something here that in the past that people might have buried for a timeline. That's a goat haven hang. Nice spot for them. Nicely built. Get the view. See what these goats are up to. A lot of death. Look at this. Bones. Looks like the locals come here and they know they come to this part of the mountain to shoot the goats. Because apparently the goats are destroying the island. But back in the old days, they put goats on islands because it was part of food supply for sailors to eat, drink their milk. What a great place. Look at that view. Very dry. The goats have just eaten everything. Whoa. Lots of goats have been here. Look at that down there. It's like a big Masada ramp. Nice ocean. That's Orpheus Island over there, and there's a gap. I'll walk to that. And that's not Palm, it's another island. It might be Palm. This is just unreal. I was hoping to see manta rays or something. Well, today I'm not the Nephilim hunter. Today I'm just Nick Malachi, that's all. Walking amongst the timeline of past. Coconut tree down there. I'm going to go film the gap. I can actually go hunting here. I had a bow and arrow. They can't see me because I'm downwind from them. But right now, there's the gap that I was talking about. If one of those goats turn around, they'd see me. I'll just keep the camera rolling. There they go. Warning, warning. Humans. So there's that. I've dived through there. There's a nice dive. I'll be going through it soon. Looking back view. See how dry it is. Really, really hammered. Looks like some old remnants down there. More house sites or something. Anyway, time to turn the camera off on this. It's been a good run. Get back to the boat. I'm so thirsty at the moment. And get on with sailing to Palm Island. I've got to do some prayer before the Lord for the Lord's entrance, and hopefully his angels have gone forward ahead of me, which I believe, to cut the path that no thief or robber comes over my boat. It's got a lot of equipment on it. It's like a Christmas tree to them. One thing about this island, there's no midgies, no mozzies, just the odd fly. Hardly any of them. I think they just dropped to the ground. But first fly that landed on me just then. So I'll get on with the day. There's Malachi down there on the beach between the dead trees. There's all the house sites. Big cactus plant that would flower. I know on Galapagos they love eating stuff like that. Anyway. Nice, beautiful pink flower. Morning flower of the sunrise. That's beautiful. Oh, you should smell that. Oh, mate, I've never smelt that before. Cross between a carnation and some sort of rose. Bees are into it, so there'd be a bee's nest somewhere. That'd be good, but I got plenty of honey anyway. Anyway, time to get back to Malachi and get some watermelon into me. Oh, there's a dry place. Well, it's been a Malachi adventure on Fantome Island. It's been great. Walked with the Lord over this. I got to say thank you, Jesus, that I'm alive today to be able to come back here. Hopefully I can come back with the evidence of the photos if that happens, but time and things that I got to do, more important what I got to do on Palm Island. If it be the Lord's will, that's what happens. Say goodbye to that oil palm.